Welcome, Alison. So great to have you here. Thank you for sharing your story today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Joe. I'm looking forward to talking about the amazing 8 weeks that I just had with you and the tribe.
Awesome, awesome. So, why don't we start off? Why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and where you're from and your circumstances?
Sure. So I am a retired LPGA Tour professional. I played golf professionally for about a decade after college. Married my husband, had two babies, two little girls, and I stayed home with them for 3.5 years, knowing that I was trying to figure out how to get back into, into the working world. And got a foothold and made that happen, and hustled my way to everything that I wanted, which was working for myself in my basement, with the freedom to pick up my girls as I needed and wanted, and a husband who was supportive of it all. And I had all those things. Everything that I wanted was I had. And uh, when the pandemic landed, all of the things that I had a tendency to dip into, and like the lulls of my emotional and mental state were um, intensified to a level that I had never experienced. And I felt anxiety for the first time in my life. I like stress, I don't like anxiety. And I I didn't know how to deal with that. And I finally came across this this Facebook post that everything that was said was speaking directly to like the soul of my frustrations in life. And I couldn't help but want to have a conversation with you, Joe. And um, yeah, so that led me to you. And 8 weeks later, I'm in a completely different state of mind.
Which is amazing that we can get results that fast. Why don't you talk about we'll come back to where you were before, but where are you now? What's changed for you?
I would describe it as freedom. I feel like this program gave me a sense of freedom, and in all of its um, uh, drinking from a fire hose feeling. Being a week away from it and not having a task this last week, I've been able to kind of understand what the last 8 weeks were. And I think freedom is what I experience now. And it's giving me a completely different perspective on everything that I do, on everything that I touch, on everything that I consider and think about. And the the self-limiting factors that I just had benchmarked in my life emotionally and mentally and in relationships with other people, um, those were I they kind of sloughed off through this. And all of a sudden I have this freedom. And I still have fears, I still have frustrations, I still have um, experiences that make me pause and give me a moment to but now I take that moment. And I had a conversation with my husband the other night, and I said, honey, this is what I'm afraid of. And I've never said that to him before, because I've never been that comfortable being that free with what I think and what I feel. And it was like a 3-minute conversation, and then it was gone. And that feels to me like the freedom to move through anything and past it to, the next goal that we're working toward.
That's a pretty big word. It's something that we all strive for, isn't it? But it feels so hard to achieve. Tell me, what was the difference you felt that obviously you've tried other stuff before. It wasn't like you're unintelligent, you're kicking all these goals in life. What do you think was it about this program that gave you that freedom? If you could try to articulate it in any way.
I think it was the comprehensive approach.
Mm-hmm.
It was all the little things that made a big difference, as opposed to really like trying to deep dive into one particular function of life and really try to like work through that. It was just like little tiny snippets of 8 weeks of your life, and just the smallest of effort. And then to celebrate those efforts. So I think the comprehensive approach and the ability to feel the freedom to celebrate, again, I'll say it again, I've never spoken to a group of women and said, guess what, I did great this week. And doing that 8 weeks in a row, knowing that it was expected, knowing that people wanted to hear it, knowing that it was part of this program, made me realize there's a lot more of that I need to do. And that again, it played into that feeling of freedom that I have now, that I can be happy.
Oh my gosh, that's a loaded word, isn't it?
Yes.
So tell me, what was life like before you joined? You mentioned, obviously, you've had years of high performance. You know, being on the pro golf tour is not something for the faint-hearted. It's not something for those who aren't driven. Where were you before you joined us?
I had an expectation level for myself that was probably achievable because I've achieved them, but I didn't accept that. I didn't have the comfort to celebrate those things. I didn't have the comfort to be happy with those, because being happy maybe meant that I was content, and maybe meant that I was complacent, and that I wasn't working and I wasn't doing enough. And so I was driven, but then driving myself mad because it was never enough. It was never enough. It was never enough. And even when I was handling everything in the pandemic and handling the kids at home and handling my work and still getting it all done, I didn't celebrate that. I just got frustrated that it wasn't exactly what I wanted it to be. And I'd lost my, time at home in my office to do my own thing, my freedom. I thought I had lost my freedom. And I was miserable because I convinced myself I should be, because I was uncomfortable, because there's more that I could have done or should have done. And I surely shouldn't celebrate because other people are suffering. And I surely can't be happy because other people aren't. And I realized that doesn't serve me or anyone else.
Definitely. And so tell me this, what's been the impact on your family with the I know we've spoken a lot about your girls and how inspiring they are for you. Tell me, what do you think has changed in how you parent them now?
I give us all a lot more grace. I pick and choose my battles a lot better. And, I think being a great mom is something we all want. And I don't know what that even means. So to navigate that with no real benchmark or playbook is always a daily challenge of when you really push them to be the best they can be versus give them the grace to be who they are as a 5 and a 7-year-old. There was a lot of the things I did was to be a better mom throughout this, to give my kids more hugs because I'm just not as naturally affectionate, which I know came from my childhood. And I've always known that, but letting that go and realizing I can change that for my daughters and for myself. They love mommy woo woo. They love doing it back to me. And I've given my girls a resource because they know that I want them to be happy and confident. And I don't think they may have felt that before and they maybe would have said that, but they know that. They would say, oh yeah, my mom, the mommy woo, they know that they're happy and confident because I want them to think that they're happy and confident, and we have that back and forth. And the relationship with my husband and all of them, I sat them all down at dinner one night, Joe, and I wrote down 3 pages of everything I did, and I read it out to them one at a time. And we got 3/4 of the way through, and my youngest my 5-year-old says, that doesn't even include the work you do every day when you go to work. And I said, you're right, it doesn't. So, we started that dialogue. Like we're all in this together, and they still don't put their shit away, but we're working on it.
Yeah, I think what's more important is that that doesn't perhaps greet you like it used to and bring up that anger and frustration. You know, we're human and we have to live with other humans. So this is all part of the journey.
Yeah.
So tell
Yeah.
me, what would your advice be for anybody who's watching this video or has watched the same training that you watched and sitting there going, oh, this all sounds too good to be true. How can this random Aussie actually help me? What would your advice to them be?
That any successful person is always looking for the shortcut to be more successful, right? We're all looking for that key to the next doorway that gets us to where we want to go. And more than anything, and I don't know that you'll realize it while it happens, and because I don't think you can see the momentum shift. You can see moments, but this has shifted the complete direction of, you know, my immediate future, and it has given me such freedom to realize what I want and what is important to my family, to do something big and courageous and feel confident. And when I don't feel confident, have the tools to navigate it in a healthy way. So if you're looking for a momentum shift, this is the program that gave that to me, and I would highly recommend it to anybody.
Awesome. And lastly, tell me, Alison, what does the future hold for you and the family? We've spoken a lot about freedom. We've spoken about confidence. What's the future hold? What are you most excited about?
We're gonna move back home to my hometown where my family and two brothers' families are, and we are going to, you know, get back to a place where we have family around us and to a really beautiful community that we've always enjoyed when we visit, which means that, you know, we've also committed that this isn't going to be a backward step for us professionally. So we are taking a very confident step forward, saying we want more than what we have now. And this is what we're looking for. And we're looking to buy a business in Grand Rapids and manage it and own it ourselves so that we can make money for us instead of somebody else.
Love it. Look at you smashing those goals, taking them. Alison, it's been an absolute pleasure having you as part of the tribe. I've loved your smiles, and each week your smile has grown bigger and you're now glowing from the inside. And I think that's what freedom does, is having, you know, you've done all the work here, you've shown up, and I think kudos to you for an amazing effort. Thank you so much for everything you've contributed.
Thanks, Joe.